Hello and welcome to this late afternoon, early evening taste challenge. Everything's done pretty fast today and successfully, so I have a little time to do this. So didn't drink anything too much today. I got some crumbs here from what I was eating. Oh, a little bit, but nothing too heavy. So I've got, Seagram 7 Crown, introduced in 1934. New age statement, 75-25 blend ratio, 75% grain neutral spirits, 25% straight whiskey, produced somewhere in the United States and bottled somewhere in the United States. I usually say Indiana, but I can't really definitively say that for Diageo. Okay. Seagram's went out of business in the year 2000 and Diageo bought the rights to this brand from them. Brown bottle, that's good. Brown glass protects the whiskey from light damage. Embossed bottle's got a 7 on the back. It's got a pretty label. It's the new label. It used to be a lot smaller 7. One of the top selling whiskeys in the United States. Now, whether it's good or not, that's your call. I bought this bottle for like $13. Runs about, $14, $15, I guess. Whiskey of distinctive character, smooth, rich, fully flavored, without a trace of heaviness. All it says is it's blended and bottled in America. So all we know, the whiskey's from somewhere in America. It could be bottled. I think it's made in Indiana, but I can't say for sure. And it doesn't really matter because they're just saying, here's the recipe, do it right, and you got the contract. And they're saying, okay, all right. Now here's Calvert Extra. No longer produce this particular version, I don't think. Now, of course, I've been wrong before with these things. Introduced in 1963 by the Seagram's company. These things are related. They have a relationship. They were both Seagram's brands. Sold to the Beam Company in 1991. And the Beam Company, later Beam Suntory, sold it to Luxco in 2015. And from my understanding, which I'm saying is not totally definitive, I'm not quite sure, but I think I'm on the right track. From my understanding, this product is sold today in 2 versions, a 70-30 blend and also a 70 proof flavored whiskey distilled specialty spirit thing, which I saw and I did not buy. I saw 70 proof. I put it right back on the shelf. David Cassie says, good evening, Ron. Hello. Clinking the mugs. Same back to you. All right. So this one, you're going to see at every bar room in America, obviously. Every time I go to any bar, I see it. When I say a bar, that usually means a restaurant that has a bar, right? Like, what was the place I was at that had bar the last time? Five Happiness Chinese restaurant in New Orleans, and you know that's going to be there. This Calvert Extra, well, you might see it, but chances are you won't. I don't think it's too prominent. Whatever version of Calvert Extra. This shouldn't take too long, and it won't take too long because I'm going to go watch the Yankees and the Boston Red Sox in 14 minutes. So I keep looking down at that timer, that clock. Yankees won the first game today. It was a makeup of yesterday, got rained out. Wish we'd get some rain outs here. It has been raining a little bit more, but not really. The last few days. Now they're doing all this, getting ready to do all this. Looks like gas line work. They got the whole street in people's yards. They got little flags everywhere and spray paint all on the street. You know that surveyor's spray paint that washes away with the rain. And a lady across the street was asking the guy, what's going to happen? Oh, we're going to run new lines or something. She said, well, it's going to tear up the yards. He said, oh, no, we got people that's going to come in and put new side. You'll never know it was touched. I'm thinking, sure. They didn't even pick up the garbage yesterday. The trash company did not come down the street because I guess they couldn't get around that work truck. These are both copper. So now there's trash piled up. You don't want that. 7 and 7s were my introductory drink to Canadian whiskey. Now those were well, now Seagram's is not a Canadian whiskey. You're thinking of maybe a Canadian Club. Actually, if you look online, a lot of liquor stores put this under the Canadian whiskey category, but it's not. It's never been. It was never a Canadian whiskey. It was always the United States of America whiskey. It's got the brown lettering, gold, red, brown, gold. It's not black. It looks like black, but it's brown, gold, and red. Seagram's VO is the Canadian. There's the Seagram's VO, Canadian, and then there's the Seagram's 7 Crown, which is American. And then there's Seagram's 83, which came out last year over here in America, United States, which is American. Now, you go to Canada, they have the Seagram's 83 Canadian whiskey, but they're not related, except for the name. All right, that's too complicated. I don't want to go into it. All right, so, but yeah, a lot of liquor stores will put Seagram's 7 Crown under Canadian whiskeys, but it isn't. It never was. They just get confused with VO. So, I was watching this beer reviewer, man. He does food reviews too. I never watch that because I don't have any interest in food reviews. The food I eat is so basic, I got no business watching food reviews, but I'm not interested in it. But I don't know. I'm getting worried about him. His videos are getting longer and longer. I mean, you say, well, look at you. I know, but they're strange. They're getting like unfocused. It's like he's doing beers and it's like I'm thinking, well, what are you talking about exactly? It's like they're not lucid. You know what I'm saying? Like you're trying to figure out. I think I know what he's saying about the beer, but I'm not quite sure. And that's kind of developed over the last year that I've noticed this. I never talked about it, but I'm thinking, I don't know. Strange. I don't think I'm misinterpreting what I'm seeing and listening to. It's like, I can't follow this. I was watching it earlier and I was like, I don't follow this. But then I was thinking, what is there to follow? I don't know what this video is exactly about. I know the title says it's about a beer, but I'm wondering. 10 years ago, his videos, or 2 years ago, his videos were to the point. It was just like talking about this beer, and here's what I think, and it was like succinct. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it could have been 10 minutes, but it didn't seem to be confused. You know what I mean? Like strange. Makes you wonder. Makes me wonder. May not make you wonder. You probably don't. You might know who I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Like you might be like saying to yourself, "Yeah, what's up with that?" It's like, what's happening in these videos? Like, what is going on here? Okay. Now my videos, I go on tangents, but I've always done that, but they're like related to the point. You know what I'm saying? Like the tangents are related to the main point. They just kind of like, oh, well, and then over here, well, okay, not gas lines. All right, you got me there. I got me there. The gas lines, but it's the context of today's activities, but yeah, okay. Okay. I think I'll be able to tell these apart. I've got them all right. So far, I've gotten them all right. Calvert Extra has won every challenge. Now, Calvert Extra is a confusing one, too, because there's one from Canada called Calvert Extra. Lord Calvert. Well, I think Lord Calvert was the original one from Canada. And then something happened, like there was something, like the company wanted to make an American whiskey, so they made Calvert Extra, and No, it was just called Calvert whiskey. That's right. It was called Calvert whiskey in Baltimore or something like that. And then Seagram's, only about 3 years later, took it over because apparently they had a reputation for tasting terrible. And Seagram's, so what I've read is kind of confusing, but they went to the company and said, "This whiskey's terrible," and the company was like, "Yeah, we don't really know what we're doing." And they were saying, "You want to sell the company to us? We'll buy the whole thing for this amount. We'll write a check." Oh yeah, you can have it. Apparently, that's sort of an elementary explanation or a simplistic explanation of what happened, but it's basically kind of what happened. And they took it over, but then they lost. But they had started having their own problems, not based on quality of the products, based on internal problems, management problems. So they began to slip. And in 1989, well, it really goes back before that, 85, when things started to show that there was problems. But at 89, they sold a whole bunch of brands to Sazerac, which was weird. Even some people were saying, "What's up with this?" And then 2 years later, they sold a whole nother bunch of brands and even literally distilleries and whatnot to Jim Beam Company. But I guess it wasn't enough. And then 9 years later, the whole company just went out of business. So Seagram still exists, but only as a name and a recipe and a brand name, you know what I mean, and a label, but the actual company does not exist. It's sort of like Libby's, I think Libby's canned food is owned by this group of people, and Libby's, what is it, like their frozen food or something? There's another company. I don't know. It gets atomized like that. It gets in disarray. But I don't think, but Libby's is not a real company either. But, in people's mind, it is. In most consumers, in the mind of most consumers, Seagram's is a company that makes whiskey and those escapes, those malt beverage. But they're not. It's not a company. It's just rights that people bought. It's a company in theory, because they'll have Seagram's brewing company, right, with the malt beverages in Rochester, New York. But it's not a real company. I can't go into. I want to watch the game. Okay. Quite a lot of aroma here. There's quite a lot of aroma here, but it's more honey, like a honey note. And I know from past experience, I know that the Seagram 7 Crown has that honey note. And there's a type of barley malt called honey malt used in beer, right? But I think you could use it in whiskey as well. And I'm picking that up. So I think on aroma, that's the Calvert Extra, and that's the 7 Crown. Now remember, I told you 7 Crown was about $13, and the extra was $8.99. Well, about $9. So a $4 difference. The availability is ubiquitous versus non-existent, basically. Okay. That's the Calvert Extra, and I know it is because of that rich cherry note. Oh man, I'm getting close. Silly Yarn says you got yourself a beer church, so that's nice. Cheers. A beer church. I just hope that you will come back teaching again. Well, I'm teaching beer. Well, I teach on the internet. You know what I mean? And if you mean going back as a job, nah, not gonna happen. Could happen though. I got offered. Got people calling me. I had people call me. Want to come teach here? I said no. I don't. I did teach religion though for 5 years, 4.5 years. That was interesting in some ways. Um, I don't know. I can't figure it out. I can't figure out this cherry note. I just don't know. I'm not going to keep harping on it. I don't know what it is. It's some kind of wood. I can't believe they would use cherry wood in an $8.99 bottle. I just don't believe it. I don't know what it is. It's 100% whiskey. Whiskey as opposed to Seagram's, which is only 1% straight whiskey. But the rest is the 75% is a grain neutral spirit. But on the other hand, the Clubhouse had no commodity statement on the label, so it's obviously all whiskey, but doesn't mean it was not very good. Not terrible, but I wouldn't buy it again. No way. I wouldn't recommend it unless you're really down and out. I mean, it's serviceable in that sense, but I wouldn't buy it. Now the Seagrams, it's a real winner. I'm telling you, it's a real winner. If somebody tells you, "Oh no, don't ever buy any American blended whiskey. It's all trash. You don't want to buy it. Get it out. Don't even bring it in your house." Some of it is not necessarily trash, but heading that way, But this one is not. No way. I'm telling you, the quality is very good. And that Crown Apple used to be called Wild Orchard or Old Orchard. I saw bottles of it the other day, older bottles. I think it was the same stuff. That's really good. And that Crown Apple, I never would have bought it, but for $3.99, when I saw the super sale, of course I had to buy it. It's all gone. I would like to try to find the Crown. Well, I know where to find it. I'd like to try the Crown Honey, Crown 7 Honey, but Seagram 7 Crown Honey. But I'm not paying. Yeah, if I see it on sale, I'll get it. Otherwise, I just never get to it. But this has such a good flavor. It's mild. It's smooth. It's no harshness. It's kind of like the Kessler, smooth as silk. It's really, and that's the number 2 selling. It's really delightful. I love it, and I would highly recommend it. They must have really good blenders working on this stuff. I mean, like really good master blenders. They know how to mix the products. That's apparently people say in blended whiskey, that's the key. You got to have a real good blender who knows how to do it. You can't just have some clown blend, throwing it all together. Say, let the hobos drink it and then expect to get something good, because you're not going to. Common sense. But Seagrams must employ really good. When I say Seagrams, I mean Diageo must employ a really high quality team, or they contract with a producer who employs a very high quality team, if you get my drift. Because that's basically what it does, have things made for them, but at a high standard, to say the least. I like the Calvert Extra. I was very surprised by the quality. And I'll tell you right now, I was expecting a pretty poor outcome. When I bought it, when I looked at it, when I researched it, I thought this is going to be a dreadful experience. I just have to, just stick with it and get through it and try to endure it. I have to endeavor to persevere. But as it turns out, it's nothing like that. It tastes good. It's relatively smooth and enjoyable. I really am surprised, and you will get some surprises sometimes. No, normally no. That's why I said sometimes, but sometimes you can run across one that you say, oh, never dreamed it would be this good, and that's one of them. Seagrams, I mean, that was not a surprise because, I mean, I had heard about Seagram 7 Crown my whole life growing up. I mean, who didn't hear of that? You saw it at every party your parents drug you to as a child. You see people drinking it. They usually make mixed drinks, cocktails, like you said, 7 and 7. I mean, so no one was surprised. I mean, I wasn't surprised when I tasted it. I thought, oh, I can see why people like it. It tastes really good. Is it remarkable? It is in a way. It is in a way remarkable. I would choose it over the VO. Well, hey, VO, they say 6-year age. 7 Crown, I never could figure out a date, an age on that. But even if it's younger aged than the VO, I just find it's a nicer product. So, but I don't dislike the VO. I don't have any more. I'll drink it all. Mm. But that last little sip did bring out that ethanol on it, though. You know, that unaged corn liquor, that, as we call it, what do you call it, moonshine kind of thing. Yeah, kind of evidence itself on that last little swig. Oh, well, they say on the website it's designed to be a cocktail whiskey, which it is. Make highballs with it. They got recipes on the website. I got the link below. But yeah, so I was going to say it's the winner, but that last little sip kind of gave the edge to Calvert. Calvert Extra winners, the winner every challenge, but barely won this one. I mean, barely, you know what I'm saying? And I would pay, I mean, I would get this because it's cheaper anyway, you know, only, like I said, $8.99. But so yeah, a surprising product. Good job, Jim Beam Company, for the 14 years you owned it. 24 years that you owned it, sorry. 24 years that you owned it. I don't know why you got rid of it if you were making a good product like that, but it doesn't mean anybody was buying it. All right, that's it. We out of here. I'm already missing a game. Beer is beer and religion is what it is. Well, all things are what they are. Hey, Ron, says Butch Willie. Mr. R says, I heard you say you used to teach religion. Yes. For you, you remember on October 4th, 2019, during the Amazonian Synod, a nude idol of the pagan deity Pachamama was involved in a strange ceremony in the Vatican. I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. R. Vatican Gardens, where the totem was venerated in dancing and offerings. Pope Francis, with an attendance, the idol would then be placed on an altar. I don't know where you got that information. I never heard anything like that. Were you reading Assemblies of God newsletter? No, I mean, I'm not. I'm just saying, I don't know what that is. I don't know what you're talking about. Haha, funny you mentioned from always had a few 7 and 7s on New Year's Eve when I was a kid. Magic Man says it is morally, ethically, and legally wrong to be a I don't know why y'all talking about all this. This is about whiskey. I don't know what all this other stuff is. My dad used to keep a bottle in the basement bar when we were kids. We used to sneak some every now and then, laughing out loud. Oh, yeah. Well, I could see that happening. All right. Well, anyway, so the focus. Yeah, Butch. Yeah, I don't know. People get. Well, I think what happens is I'm doing a little tasting of whiskey, you know, or whatever. And I think other people that are watching are doing a lot more tasting before, during, and even after the video. You know what I'm saying? So, like, their intake might eclipse mine by, well, a pretty large measure, and it's reflective in their commentary, which could be interesting. All right, moving on. We'll keep it about whiskey. No problem. We have a nice night, everybody. Okay, yeah, everybody have a nice night. So Calvert did a great job, considering it won every challenge. Be indicative of a great job. Barely won this one, but it did win by just a hair, by a corn kernel. Now we're on to Canadian whiskey, and can't say I expect much from the one I have, but I got shocked by the Calvert. Did I not get shocked by it? I did. So you never know what you'll find out there. So this next one coming up is going to be a little strange, but I thought the taste was all right on the first, you know, that's the first tasting. I haven't really delved into it. You know, you got to do repeated tastings to get a good kind of handle on it. But yeah, we're going to see. It'll probably win some taste challenges. Can't say it's going to win too many. But I have an idea of some of the ones that'll win. So, all right. See y'all soon. Take care now. Oh, and don't forget, tomorrow night, Wednesday night, right around this time, we'll be doing wheat beers, any kind of wheat beer.